What's up, guys? Look, um, I know that this video ain't really meant to be seen, but more meant to be heard. Man, I was just going over there in my head, and I was thinking, I always thought it was weird when I was, when I go to church, or when I went to church when I was younger and stuff like that, all the way up to my adult years, and I always wondered why the church, why, no matter what church I was in, why the church never focus. There's some things that churches will focus on, and some things that they will absolutely stay away from. One of those things that I noticed in church that they stay away from, one of those things is the history of Christianity. They don't really talk about the history at all. I mean, and when I mean talk about the history, I don't mean storytelling. Like, I don't mean talking about Jesus, going back to Jesus, and in his early life, when they talk about Jesus. I'm not talking about that kind of history. I'm talking about real factual history of Christianity. Churches never ever talk about it, and I always find that funny because, well, I'll say the second thing that I noticed that they don't talk about. I've never been to a church that really, really delves in and tries to teach about Book of Revelations. This is like one of the things that is a no-no. Like, they may go into the Book of Revelations to make a point based on something else, but the pastors and the bishops, they never ever set out, like when they put together a sermon, and they go through certain books, and they teach extensively on that. I've never seen a pastor talk and go into the Book of Revelations heavy like that. I've never seen it. It's unheard of. And I know they talk about these things when you're going through theocracy school, and even the name theocracy school is kind of funny because they discuss a lot in when you go to theocracy, when you go to get your degree in theocracy, to be able to be a priest and be able to be a pastor and stuff like that. They have to debate a lot, and they have to debate a lot about the things that I just said. Book of Revelations, interpretations and meanings. They have to talk about actual history. So I always thought it was kind of weird. Once I found out that they do talk about these things, I always thought it was weird why they don't ever introduce that to the congregation. They never open up that kind of discussion with the congregation. And a part of it makes me squint my eyes a little bit and say, I wonder why they don't. You know what I mean? But then when I think about it, their job is not necessarily to get you to question Christianity, or question what they're teaching to a certain point that you are receptive to believing it, right? I'm not saying they're trying to brainwash you. What I'm trying to say is that there are key details when you go to like church and stuff. Like, there are key things that they do or that they avoid to open up that Pandora box. You know what I mean? A lot of religion, not just Christianity, even Islam being one of the major ones. I don't want to use indoctrination, but I have to use indoctrination. A lot of what they are teaching you is not necessarily wrong, but they omit a lot of details that will open your mind to thought, right? The goal of a church, or a mosque, or a synagogue, whatever, the goal of winning people over is to make you believe. There's a difference, my friends, between belief and knowing and logical thought, right? What do I mean by that? For an example, being from a Christian background, I'll give you a Christian example of a Christian teaching that they teach you at a young age. There's plenty of them, but I'll use this one as an example. Mary Jesus' mother, and the Immaculate Conception. They teach it to you as a fairy tale. And they do this when you're a small child, obviously. For many of the people that are brought into the religion, they do this when you're young, because your mind is easily taught. You're able to be easily taught something, even though it doesn't make sense to you, because you're a child. And when you're a child, nothing really makes sense to you. A lot of the questions that you have can be explained away by your parents or stuff like that, that you may have, like, for life in general. And they have, your parents do a great or a bad job of explaining things to you. So, that's one example. The Virgin Mary. People literally take that. The way they teach you is to literally believe that she was an actual virgin, and she became pregnant without the agency of a man's sperm. We all know that sperm and ova create human beings and animals and stuff like that. That's how we reproduce, right? There's been no factual proof or anything of anybody ever being born without the agency of sperm and ova or eggs. It hasn't happened. It's a scientific impossibility, unless you are asexual, right? And we know human beings are not asexual, but the way they teach you, they teach you to believe that shit. And I shouldn't say it's shit, but what I'm saying is that a lot of the things that are in the Bible and a lot of the truth that we seek is actually told in lies. You know what I mean? The best liar, they would tell you the best liar. You know why Satan is the best liar? And they would tell you the best way to hide the truth is in a lie. And so a lot of these things that we take at face value, you know what I mean? We can't, it's the way we're being taught it. The truth is there, but it takes a certain mind and spirit to decipher the actual truth, right? And the way they teach you is absolutely incorrect. And that's just one of the examples, right? That's just one of the examples from my Christian background. But again, the object of religion is to get you to believe. They need believers, right? And so when a lot of people look at like Islam, for example, or I should say people who claim to follow Islam in the Middle East that are blowing people up, blowing my buddies up, my fellow soldiers and comrades and stuff, blowing them up, you know what I mean? And you ask, how can they do something like that? You know what I mean? They're screaming out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, God is great. But look at the things that they're doing. What they're doing is not great at all. But they believe that their actions are for a great cause, right? A greater cause. They actually believe that through their actions, they're bringing grace and glory to God. And people shake their heads like, how the hell can somebody do something like that, strap a bomb themselves and kill innocent people and think that that's the right? It's not, because they know it's wrong. They know what they're doing is an act of war. They know what they're doing is not kosher. But they have been so deeply ingrained. The truth and the lies have been deeply sewn in to where you're not dealing with a logical person anymore. You're not dealing with a person that's going to say, wait a minute, you want me to strap what to me? To my chest? And you want me to detonate it? And kill myself along with other people for a cause? You're not dealing with people like that. You're dealing with people who believe. And when you're dealing with people who belief is a very dangerous thing. And the reason why I'm using Islam or the Middle East, those types of people who believe in that as an example, is because, again, when people look at Christianity, they think that they're nothing we Christians, we Jews, we Christians, we're nothing like those crazy Arabs, you know what I'm saying, who claim to believe in God and they're killing people and blowing people up. I'm like, no, you have to look at it. You're looking at it through your lens. What have people believing in your religion? What have they done to others? Because when you look at Christianity as a whole, they've done nothing to warrant the respect of God. How it was founded, how it was set out to get people, force people to believe it, or to believe it or not. And if you didn't, you died. You could say the same thing about every single religion, right? They've all done it, right? So you have to ask yourself, why is belief such a powerful thing? Why is it so dangerous? Because people can be led to do anything if they truly believe what they're doing is an act of goodwill, act of good faith, into what they believe, in that belief. Like if you can truly convince somebody to do something wrong to another, but convince them that what they're going to do is going to be seen by God as an act of glory, then you'll do anything, right? I'm telling you. You got to look at what you're being taught. You have to be able to question everything. Question everything around you. Question everything, but don't. It's okay to question everything, but it's not okay to basically to not believe in your own your own ire, your own, I wouldn't say persuasion, your own belief. I guess I would call it belief. Your own sense of judgment. That's what I would say. I would say your own sense of judgment. I wouldn't say belief. I would say your sense of judgment. Because judgment to me is different than belief. If you walked outside and you met another human being right now, say you walked out, or you meet a person and you say, hey, and they say, hey, how you doing? What would happen if that person or if you slapped that other person, just slapped them? Wow. How would you feel after you did that? You don't know the person. They were being nice to you and you just slapped the shit out of them. Like, how would you feel? You would feel, probably innately, you would probably feel like, God, what did I just do? You know what I mean? Like, God did nothing to me. Like, I don't know why I just did that. And we do those things sometimes. Sometimes we lash out at others and we're like, man, it's not who I am. It's not my character. And that's different to me than a belief. Like, I believe I need to be nice to everybody else because, to me, that's completely different. I think we're all born with a sense of judgment and justice, in our makeup. We know what's innately right and wrong. But anyway, that's besides the point. Basically, what I wanted to kind of hit home is that if you call yourself a good Christian, you call yourself a good Muslim, you call yourself a good member of the Jewish community, anything, as far as, whatever it is that you identify as, you should never ever feel that you have to discard your logic, your sense of logic, to believe in something that doesn't make sense to you. And I'm not saying the whole thing makes sense, right? I'm just saying that you gotta do what's right. I'll leave y'all with that.